From Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut, this is The Pulse.
Hello, my name is Jessica Shalou.
And I'm Christian Carter. Thanks for joining us.
The Sacred Heart community is mourning the loss of one of their own after a tragic accident during a Greek life event. Caitlin Nelson, a junior and sister of the Kappa Delta sorority, is being remembered by her friends and loved ones. Throughout the campus, various organizations have dedicated events raising funds for her family during this difficult time. Jim Kent brings us more.
The Sacred Heart community is mourning the loss of a friend and fellow classmate. Caitlin Nelson, a junior majoring in social work, passed away from asphyxia during a pancake eating contest held on campus.
Our airway was closed, and it was difficult for officers responding.
On campus today, the Sacred Heart flag was lowered to half-staff in Nelson's memory.
Sacred Heart University released a statement saying counseling services will continue to be available for all members of the SHU community who may need them over the next few days.
Caitlin embodied a life of love and giving. She was vice president of community service in her sorority, Kappa Delta. Caitlin volunteered at her church and at the Newtown Resiliency Center despite losing her father at a young age. He was a Port Authority police officer who was killed on the September 11th terrorist attacks. His name lies next to many American heroes at Ground Zero. Their home street back in Clark, New Jersey, was renamed in honor of Officer James Nelson. As a young girl, Caitlin knew how special her father really was.
He died in the World Trade Center and he saved a lot of lives.
Thousands of students and friends gathered on campus for a candlelight vigil in honor of Caitlin.
All I just have to say is this whole situation just feels weird. I mean, I remember hanging out with this girl a lot last semester. I remember going to see the movie The Accountant with her. I mean, this just seems odd. I mean, she was a happy girl. I can't believe this happened.
Mommy, Annie, and I love you and miss you every day. Butterfly kisses always.
On the campus of Sacred Heart University, this is Jim Kent, reporting for The Pulse.
President Trump is nearing his 100th day in office. On March 25th, citizens around the nation gathered for the Make America Great Again march within their local communities. The event was organized to support President Trump and allow Americans to honor their country. Victoria Saporito has the story.
On Saturday, March 25th, citizens gathered in multiple locations within 33 states to participate in the national Make America Great Again march in support of Donald Trump and his presidency. This day of nationwide patriotism, as stated in the event description, was held in order to give people the opportunity not only to show support for the president and vice president, but to honor our military, law enforcement, first responders, and the America we call home. The walkway over the Hudson State Historic Park, located in Poughkeepsie, New York, served as venue for 438 people. Those who organize marches within their own communities stated in their event descriptions, "We love our country and owe the men and women who put their lives on the line to ensure our freedom and make sure we are safe and protected every day." While those who attended were enthused to show their support, others attended to protest and express their opposing views. As stated in the event description as well, protesting and gathering is a right to all. Furthering the purpose of this event, each gathering contained areas for donations of food, clothes, and other items for homeless veterans. After a successful turnout, President Trump tweeted later that day, thanking everyone who came out and showed their support. This is Victoria Saporito reporting for The Pulse.
The Sacred Heart Latino Club La Hispanidad celebrated its second annual Social Justice Week. Students, clubs, and organizations joined the conversation by participating in different events around campus. As a member of Executive Board in La Hispanidad, I was able to join in the festivities. Let's take a look. What does social justice mean to you? This question sparked conversation on social issues during a week full of events created by the Sacred Heart University's Latino Club La Hispanidad. The club created a council composed of Residential Life, Campus Ministry, the College of Business, and the Volunteer and Service Learning programs. Together, these departments came together for the second annual Social Justice Week. Monday jump-started the week with table times from La Hispanidad. Students addressed the question of what social justice meant to them by writing their answers on a leaf and adding it to a tree. Cultural night followed that evening in the Art and Design Gallery. Students of the Global Leadership class within the College of Business tested their leadership skills by creating events such as Cultural Night. Students presented posters on their country of origin with a motive to inform on things like food, dance, and even historical events. Participation from campus continued to shine as Tuesday's Step a Bus began. Although it was raining, Campus Ministry was able to fill 2 vans with donations from students and staff members.
We are the part of Campus Ministry. Today we are donating hygiene products and cans for the Center for Family Justice.
Public Safety opened up the CN and Merton gates for sorority Alpha Delta Pi to deliver their load of 938 cans. Another Global Leadership student ran an event to promote recycling at SHU.
For Social Justice Week, I had the idea of kind of bringing sustainability to the SHU community. Just some awareness about environmental issues that are, in us right now, and what we can really do to just help protect our environment and just make sure that SHU's carbon footprint is reduced. I figured I can pair it with Social Justice Week and really get the image out there for sustainability, helping the environment. I thought it was a good way to help just diversify what's at Social Justice Week.
Residential Life hosted the Oxfam Hunger Banquet.
We won't patch a problem and then disappear, and we won't stand by silently and watch others suffer. Altogether, Oxfam works in more than 90 countries to save lives, develop long-term solutions to poverty, and campaign for social change.
Students were able to experience the difference in social class as they were placed in situations of low, middle, and high-class groups. Some were led to feast through a buffet, while others sat and were only given a small portion of an entree.
I think the purpose for today was to be sort of have an interactive activity. Like Yuritsa was saying during the activity, she's a visual learner, and I think a lot of people learn better by seeing a representation in person.
We wanted to bring it here, we just didn't really know where it fit, and then when we found out that there was an opportunity for Social Justice Week, we thought it would be a really good opportunity to pair that program with all the other events that were happening, to kind of tackle a different issue that wasn't being covered by anything else planned for the week.
And then he was like, oh wow, like there's so many people over there, and then there's like kind of a lot of people over here, and then there's like just us, like
right.
Our top elite. So I think it's a good thing just for people to like see and visualize how it actually is, and because we're all from like predominantly middle class area, and some of us upper middle class, we don't necessarily think about this every day. So.
Wednesday night closed with a gathering for a vigil in the Chapel of the Holy Spirit for the LGBTQ community. The Gay Straight Alliance and Campus Ministry worked together to hold this event.
LGBTQ community was never condemned, not publicly anyway, but it was also never condoned and never discussed, and I think they liked it that way. I didn't even know what homosexuality was until I was 11.
As the week came to an end, La Hispanidad held their main event, Tell Us Your Story. Attendees listened to personal stories told by students, faculty, and staff of the university. The purpose of the event was to create a comfortable setting where your story was appreciated and heard. While Social Justice Week has come to an end, La Hispanidad will continue to pursue advocating for important issues like these. This is Jessica Shalou reporting for The Pulse. It was so great to be able to be a part of the whole event with La Hispanidad. I'm so happy it went so well.
Yeah, the entire week full of events went very well. I was actually able to stop by the Tell Your Story event, and let me tell you, those stories were very personal, but definitely impactful. And so it was definitely a great turnout. President Patillo was even there, so got to shake his hand, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed it.
That was a great event.
So coming up after the break, we'll take a look at HBO's hit drama From the Eyes of the Producer. And do you know the rules of rugby? We asked students on campus what they knew about the sport. Stay tuned.
Helipad operations currently suspended. Please contact Sacred Heart University prior to attempting to land any helicopters, Harrier jets, or any vertical takeoff lift aircraft at Sacred Heart University's West Campus. Subject to terms and conditions.
Welcome back to The Pulse. On Wednesday, March 29th, Regina Heyman visited Sacred Heart to discuss her life as a producer for HBO's hit show, Girls. The event included a screening of the show's first episode from the final season. The night concluded with a question and answer session from faculty and students. Heyman gave advice stressing the idea of having an open mind and good attitude when breaking into the business of film and production. Throughout the show's 6 seasons, Heyman recalled her time working on the set and getting to know the cast one-on-one. The final episode of Girls airs this April on HBO.
Last fall, the Sacred Heart Men's Club rugby team took home their first ever regional championship and earned a trip to nationals. As the squad looks for another successful season in the spring, we wanted to find out what the SHU community actually knew about the sport. Gino Ganello surveyed the campus to test the rugby knowledge of our student body.
With the recent success of the SHU Club men's rugby team in the fall season, I wanted to find out the rest of the SHU campus's knowledge of the sport. I went out and asked some students what they knew about rugby. Have you ever watched the sport of rugby?
No, not really.
I've seen it, but I really don't understand it at all.
Give me anything that you know about the sport.
It's similar to football without pads, pretty much, and I know what the ball looks like.
I know about the Six Nations Cup. I know that a try is 6 points, and you can pass the ball backwards and kick it forward.
Do you know anything about the sport of rugby?
I do not.
You gotta put the ball, face down in the back of the end zone. That's all I know.
That's it?
That's all.
So it's safe to say that not many people know a lot about rugby. With that in mind, I sat down with SHU Men's Club rugby player Anthony Martiriello to gain a little bit more knowledge about the sport and help us all learn a little something new. So now I'm joined by Anthony Martiriello, a member of the SHU Men's Club rugby team. Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, Anthony, let's get in a little bit about this sport. How would you describe rugby to someone who's never seen the sport before, never watched the sport, never even heard of it?
It is very hard. It's a very unique sport, but I guess the best way to really put it is kind of a cross between soccer and football. It kind of has it's like a free open play like soccer. Clock's always running. There's really no stoppages, and then I guess you could there's contact like football. So. Yeah.
Cool. So let's start out with the basics here. How does one score in rugby?
Well, it's similar to football. There's two what they call try zones. They're kind of sort of act as the end zones. Where the person with the ball has to cross that line, and they actually have to physically touch the ball down in that area. They get a score. A try is 5 points, and then you can do a conversion kick afterwards. It's 2 points.
Okay. Are you able to score in other ways other than a try?
Yeah. You could do almost like a field goal. Off of a penalty, you could set up your field goal off a tee, kick that. That's 3 points. And actually, at any point during the game, you could attempt a drop goal, which is it's a drop kick goal, so you have to drop the ball. It has to bounce off the ground, and then you kick it. Okay. That's also 3 points, and you can attempt that at any point in the game, anywhere in the field.
That seems pretty difficult.
No, it's
I'm
very
guessing
difficult.
That's not used too often.
No, not at all.
All right. So let's describe, if you could, just describe some of the positions, some of their duties. Like what are the positions in rugby?
Okay. The positions are kind of separated to 2 sections, kind of like football, where there's the forwards, who are kind of like the linemen, I guess, and there's backs, who are kind of like your receivers and running backs. The position, it depends on what kind of offense you run. A very typical offense you would run for basic beginners or something like that, kind of separates those 2 sections, whereas you would have your forwards kind of set up into pods of 4, where you just give them the ball, they kind of just pound down the field, slowly gaining yards. And then you have your back line set up across the field, And they're kind of there to you kind of get the ball out wide to them, and they look for any holes in the defense and try and get a scoring opportunity.
Give me some basic rules of the sport. You mentioned penalties before. What can you do and what can you not do?
Well, there is a lot.
Let's start with the basics.
Right.
Something that
I mean, the biggest thing is you can't throw the ball forward.
Okay.
A forward pass results in a scrum down. A scrum down is pretty much the forwards literally lock in with each other and push each other over the ball to gain back possession.
What exactly is ruck? Could you just describe that for us as well?
Yeah, sure. Rucking is actually one of the biggest parts in rugby, especially when you want to maintain possession of the ball. Pretty much what happens when you get tackled is possession is technically neutral. So if I'm running with the ball and I get tackled, I have to place the ball down, and then 2 players from each team they have to kind of push over me and fight for possession of the ball. But there's kind of a few rules. You can't come in from the side. There's kind of like an imaginary gate they call, where you have to come in straight on. You can't dive through the ruck. You can't leave your feet. You can't grab a player. You have to just push him over.
Okay. And then one final question I have for you here. Why should someone who hasn't seen the sport of rugby, is just finding out through the sport of rugby through this interview right here, why should they watch rugby? What's one of the reasons you maybe started watching rugby or got into rugby?
I mean, I got into rugby just because it was something, I guess, curiosity really. It was something I didn't know anything about. It did look fun when I watched people play it. I came here. I knew I wasn't going to play football or anything. At the time, there wasn't a club team, and I heard that rugby is an upcoming sport in America. I just found it's a good opportunity to play. There's it really is a lot of fun. Once you get to know the rules, you really have to sit down and get to know the game. It will take a while. I mean, I've been playing for 4 years now, and there's still some rules I don't even know about.
Yeah.
But and there's just the atmosphere. Rugby players have just a huge amount of respect for each other. Even when we play different teams, we play Fairfield and Seton Hall, teams from Jersey, and they just have a huge amount of respect for each other. And even though a game will be rough, but at the end of the day, we're all coming here to play rugby, and it's just a good time.
It's awesome. All right, Anthony, thank you so much for teaching us about the sport of rugby. And now that you guys know a little bit more about the sport of rugby, I hope that I see all you guys out there supporting the men's club rugby team in their spring 2017 season. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
From Fairfield, Connecticut, I'm Gino Ganello reporting for The Pulse.
Now we send it over to Natalie Chafari, who's sitting with someone that knows more than a little bit about the sports world.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chat with Nat. Here with me today is Sacred Heart graduate alum and the voice of the Pioneers, Randy Brochu. Randy, how are you today?
Very good, thank you for having me.
Of course. So for those of you who don't know, Randy is the voice of the Pioneers, so he does all of the games like football, hockey, baseball. But even before that, how did you get into broadcasting?
Well, like you and so many of your classmates, I got involved in my college when I was an undergrad at Boston University with the student radio station and trying to pursue my dream of being a sports broadcaster, which was my goal since being a little kid. And I had the opportunity to work on the student radio station and be able to do the broadcasts of one hockey game. I always wanted to be a hockey announcer. I got one hockey game and used that tape. It was actually one of our neighbors, Quinnipiac University, who gave me a shot, but then Sacred Heart called after I'd done a couple of years in minor league baseball, went out west and did the Yakima Bears for a couple of years out in the great state of Washington. And Sacred Heart had asked if I wanted to come join their broadcast team, and loved where the direction of the university was going. And they have certainly proved it right as we sit in this beautiful studio right now, working with some great undergraduates who are pursuing their dreams too. So it's been great.
That's awesome. So what is it like, I guess, being a play-by-play announcer or just being a sports broadcaster in general?
It's a ton of fun because obviously you get paid to watch sports, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But also, I feel a real connection, or at least I try to always, with who's out there. And I always try to really imagine who is on the other end of that radio or that computer, that iPhone now with streaming the games as we do on NEC Front Row for our basketball and football broadcasts that I'm a part of. And I love just knowing that somebody cares as much about this game that I'm broadcasting as I should. You know, to me, it's a friendship. It's a friendship that I'm bringing the game to my friends who I may not know who are out there who care about this game, and it's a ton of fun.
So how did you get into it with Sacred Heart? Did they see your tape, or did they like call you kind of like, hey, you know, Randy, you're like the best guy out there?
It wasn't quite like that, but you know, they had an opening. We used to be on WICC radio in Bridgeport.
Okay.
And this is, you know, going back 9 years now. So, you know, it was on actual commercial radio, and, you know, they just had a need. There was an opening, and you know, the folks from Athletic Communications, I'd known one of the members of that group from my first internship out of college. I had the opportunity with the Norwich Navigators to call 3 innings of play-by-play every home game, but I had to be the engineer back at the studio for road games. So I was working every day in the summer, and I guess, you know, that fella took note, and, you know, when the opportunity opened 4 years later at Sacred Heart, you know, he kind of called me up and said, I know you love hockey and do hockey for Quinnipiac. Would you be, you know, willing to maybe come do our hockey games in basketball and football? So it is funny, you know, you never know where the opportunity is going to pop up, and who you meet 4 or 5 years before, you know, leads you to some great opportunity, because I love the opportunity. I'm really proud to be the voice of the Pioneers. I love Sacred Heart University and all our student athletes, and, you know, our communication and media studies students who do such a great job.
You've obviously had a lot of experience, because as I was listening to you talking, you said you've had internships, you've been at Quinnipiac, now you're here. So tell me about some of the people that you've worked with, whether they're famous or whether, you know, they're, I guess, your idols, or if you've ever worked with somebody like that.
Well, just because they're right up there right now, I want to mention a couple of broadcast partners. I've had Rob Coloni, who was my broadcast partner a few years ago in basketball as part of the media studies program here as a professor. And Chris Smith, who is a basketball legend here in the state of Connecticut, is the all-time leading scorer at UConn, played 3 years in the NBA, and who's not in that picture is Katie Shepard, who was my basketball broadcast partner the previous year, and a Maycom graduate, a graduate of your same program in media studies, and an outstanding women's basketball player here. So having the chance to work with them in basketball has been tremendous, because they're very knowledgeable in the sport. They're friends. And, you know, one thing I always want to have on a broadcast is that, I used that word before, friendship come through. Like, it sounds like we really enjoy working together, because we do. And these are friends of mine, and we get to sit and, you know, do something we're both passionate about and call basketball. Bill Schweitzer at Quinnipiac gave me my first chance. He was a former NFL and Major League Baseball reporter and announcer, the voice of Villanova when they won their first national championship, and you know, he gave me the opportunity to be on their radio station, and it's always great to cross paths with him. And a fellow by the name of Jeff Dooley I'd like to mention too. He's the voice of the former New Britain Rockcats. They're now the Hartford Yard Goats, and when I was a sophomore in college, gave me the chance to go get sound from the players after the games, and met a lot of great Major League players, David Ortiz, Michael Kadire, Torrey Hunter.
Where do you see yourself in the future, like with still with the Pioneers, or continuing your dream to being a sports broadcaster?
You know, I love where Sacred Heart's going, and I'm really happy right now that our production level through, you know, the sports comm and Maycom students who join, and Professor Brian Thorne, who's done a great job, and the collaboration with our athletics department, the department I work full-time for, you know, under the leadership of Bobby Valentine, who is, you know, also incredible to work with, and it's a real kind of dream come true to work with him every day, as somebody I grew up watching as a big baseball fan, and who I admire as a broadcaster too, for his role on the Sunday night game of the week before, and his work on SNY and Baseball Tonight. So really, I am very happy here right now, and I love the opportunities that I get to do in the summer, working minor league baseball for the Connecticut Tigers, who's they're a single A affiliate of the Detroit Tigers, but you know, you're always looking for any kind of opportunities, for freelance work, and opportunities to call games on other platforms, and that's the exciting thing about this whole industry. And I think it's exciting for you students that are getting ready to go into the world. in this multimedia world that you get a great education in at Sacred Heart, there are different avenues, there are different platforms, and many opportunities that you don't see coming. So who knows? Just like I ended up here in a way that I didn't know, who knows what is next? I hope there's more, but right now I'm thrilled to be, to continue as the voice of the pioneers.
Well, Randy, we're so happy to have you here at Sacred Heart, and thank you so much even just for being here on our show. It was a pleasure to have you. Coming up after the break, we will look at how 2 students continue to make an impact on campus and how multiple organizations supported the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Being a public servant doesn't come easy for most, although for these 2 Sacred Heart students, we'll witness how donating bagels can strengthen ties between students and the surrounding community. Here's Alessandra Sataro with the feature.
Students at Sacred Heart University are always willing to help out others. For 2 members of the Omega Phi Kappa fraternity, giving to others has become full-time volunteer work.
So Greek Life Gives is an organization that we take the bagels from a local organization downstairs and we donate them to a shelter in Bridgeport. We started this idea back last year when we got leftover bagels at the end of the day, and we were like, oh, what do you do with these bagels? And they're like, we just throw them out at the end of the day. So we were like, let's do something about this.
I was there at Einstein's one day and they decided to give out free food, so I had free food and I was like, oh, what do you guys do with this? And they throw it out. I was like, oh, that's like a real big waste. And then also just having been inspired by the French law that had been passed, saying, all cafes have to donate their food. I was like, oh, that'd be really cool to get on that now and just start it. So we just talked to the right people, got lucky. The one woman, Kayla Blanchett, she's in charge of Chartwell's marketing. She was all for this idea and she was the big one that pushed for this to happen. Without her, there'd be no way this would have happened at all.
For Rachel Barroso, a member of Chi Omega, bringing donations to the Prospect House gave a new sense of meaning to giving to others.
Me and my grandmother Emily are members of Chi Omega, and we signed up for Greek Life Gives. So basically we just picked a time slot and we went on one night to Einstein's, which is in the business building, and we stayed until they were closing, and they gave us all their extra bagels and pastries, and they put it in a big bucket, and we just brought it over to a local shelter in Bridgeport. It's called the Prospect House. I think community service and giving back, especially with organizations like Greek Life Gives, it's definitely the foundation of Greek life here on campus. So it definitely allows you to kind of take a step back and realize what you need to be grateful for, and it's the perfect opportunity to appreciate the little things. And I think the best way to give back is to kind of give back to those less fortunate than us.
We get the large amount of Greek Life students at Sacred Heart, and we have them help us out with donating the food to a local shelter in Bridgeport called Prospect House. And originally we only had about four sororities help us out. Now we have other teams help us out, other clubs help us out. We have more sororities, we have fraternities help us out. So we have a lot more involvement than when we first started, and going on a year now, that's great. We just love to keep expanding and keep getting as many people involved as we can. The people at the shelter are great. We've gone there a bunch of times when they're like, you're the bagel guys, and they're so happy when we walk in, and we're so happy to hear that. We talk to them, they thank us, they love the bagels, they tell us how they ate them the other night. The chef tells us how he's ready to prepare something new. We always go into the Prospect House with such praise, and it's awesome. That's obviously not what we're doing it for, but it's great to hear that people are enjoying it and they're getting use out of the bagels that were originally being thrown in the garbage. I'll do the posts on Facebook, posts on Instagram, and then we'll both reach out to the volunteers. We'll organize the days the volunteers go. We'll reach out to other organizations to help them out.
Well, right now we're trying to expand to a couple local businesses. We have to set up meetings with them. So hopefully they like us and they decide, hey, you know, nothing doesn't hurt us at all, and they will donate the food as well.
We're trying to do the paperwork to become an official nonprofit organization. We're making a business plan. We're making sure it keeps running next year. We're reaching out to other schools, reaching out to other food places. So a lot of that stuff we do together mostly.
The goal is to oversee Greek Life Gives as the founder still, but we just hired 2 interns, so they'd be running the Alpha chapter here at Sacred Heart. And then whatever school I go to, I hope to start the beta chapter there, because I think that'd be really cool. I'd like to expand it to as many universities as we can.
The short-term goals are to get our official nonprofit status, to get funding. We definitely need funding to keep going, to get apparel, to raise awareness, to make pamphlets, to do everything we need to do. We need a board of directors to become a nonprofit, so to finish that business plan so we can present it to board of directors, potential investors. Long-term goals are to go out to other universities and to expand to other universities. We eventually want to license our name and our structure, so other schools around us will have a Greek Life Gives, and they'll be able to do the same thing we do, and then hopefully we'll be able to help stop hunger and stop wasting of food. So that's the biggest long-term goal, is to just keep spreading the word and keep getting our organization into other schools.
Brandon and David are hopeful that what they've started at Sacred Heart will carry on long after they've graduated. This is Alessandra Sotaro reporting for The Pulse.
It's so great that students take time out of their own busy schedules every single week to help somebody other than themselves.
I agree. I definitely commend these 2 students only because they're being young entrepreneurs out here in the community, and they've even tied my organization, Iota Phi Theta, into the donating loop. And every single weekend, we're out there donating the bagels as well. So definitely kudos to them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
At Sacred Heart, making wishes come true is something that Chi Omega fraternity and students of the Fashion Club strive for. The 2 organizations held separate events to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Here's Tykeira Carter with the story.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation has had a big impact on events in this past week at Sacred Heart University. One event was put on by the Fashion Club called the Make-A-Wish Fashion Show.
So this was the first time we've ever had the fashion show with Fashion Club and Make-A-Wish, and I hope that when I graduate, the Fashion Club e-board continues to do it in the future.
Claudia's prior experience with working with the Make-A-Wish Foundation as an intern made it that much easier for her to bring awareness about the cause to campus.
The Make-A-Wish office in Connecticut, which is right here in Trumbull, so that's where I had my internship in the fall. So knowing the people in that office made it easy for me to talk to them and plan the event out.
The members of the fashion show and selected Wish kids strutted their stuff down the runway. The event was filled with laughter, fun, and stylish clothing. It's safe to say that the event was a success.
I definitely think it was a success. I mean, looking back, we made almost $500. We had a lot of generous donations, things like that, that just really helped us. So a lot of that money, 85%, went to Make-A-Wish. So just to be able to give them that money and benefit the Fashion Club at the same time is just altogether great.
That was not the only event that was a success on campus. The Make-A-Wish Ball was organized and held for the second time by the Chi Omega sorority.
So a few years ago, I was able to get my wish because I'm a Make-A-Wish child myself, and I got to go to the ball, the actual Make-A-Wish ball, and I got to speak, and it was a really great experience. And when I talked to Claudia, she was all excited about it, and that made me so excited because I felt that this was something that could really connect the Make-A-Wish chapters and then connect the community here at Sacred Heart with Make-A-Wish.
The Sisters of Chi Omega feel really passionate about raising awareness and funds to help those children with life-threatening medical conditions. Not only does getting their wish granted give them a fun experience, it also brings them hope.
There's 2 aspects to healing. It's the physical healing and then the spiritual healing. And I feel like with the happiness that Make-A-Wish brings, it helps kids heal in the fact that they're able to be kids again. They're not just, in a hospital somewhere. It brings a little bit of hope back into their lives.
Everything we do in Chi Omega helps grant a child's wish. We kind of got to see the impact that we have on the community and on campus. So I think that being a part of Chi Omega is so much more than just being a part of a sorority. It's because it really makes makes me feel so connected to Make-A-Wish and so connected to our community.
This is Tykira Carter reporting for The Pulse.
I actually had the opportunity to go to a previous Make-A-Wish fashion show this past summer.
Oh, really?
And it's so cool to see that Sacred Heart now can incorporate it on its own campus.
Yes, that is very great. I'm just glad that the students, well, the kids were actually able to get their wishes granted. So
yes, definitely.
That's very great.
That's a positive. That's all the news we have for now. I'm Jessica Shalou.
And I'm Christian Carter. We'll see you next time on The Pulse.